It sounds glamorous, almost cinematic by default. The word blockbuster brings to mind towering movie posters, record-shattering ticket sales, and stories so big they seem to take over the world overnight. It feels like a word born under bright lights and flashing cameras. But its origin is far more explosive than most people realize. Before it described billion-dollar films and cultural phenomena, blockbuster meant something literal, something destructive enough to wipe out an entire city block in seconds. The journey from wartime devastation to Hollywood dominance is stranger and more revealing than it first appears. Right here, on History of Simple Things. Blockbuster first emerged during World War II. It was the name given to extremely large aerial bombs used primarily by the British Royal Air Force. These bombs were designed to destroy entire city blocks, not just individual buildings. When they detonated, the blast waves leveled structures across wide areas, leaving massive destruction behind. The name was literal and functional, a bomb that could bust a block. At the time, the word had no metaphorical meaning. It described a specific weapon and the scale of damage it caused. Because of its dramatic imagery and blunt clarity, the term left a strong impression on both soldiers and civilians. Even after the war, the power embedded in the word made it difficult to forget. After the war ended, blockbuster began appearing outside military contexts. Journalists were among the first to adopt it as a metaphor. Newspapers used the term to describe events that had an overwhelming impact, such as major political developments or shocking revelations. The word shifted from describing physical destruction to symbolizing disruption and scale. This change reflected a common pattern in language. Words born in moments of crisis often survive by adapting to new meanings. Blockbuster no longer needed explosions to make sense. It now referred to anything capable of shaking expectations and dominating attention. The core idea remained intensity, but the context had softened. By the mid-20th century, the term was well on its way to becoming part of everyday language, especially in media and popular culture. The film industry quickly embraced blockbuster. In the 1950s and 1960s, movie studios were competing with television and needed spectacles to draw audiences back into theaters. Large-scale productions with epic stories, elaborate sets, and huge casts became more common. These films were meant to feel bigger than life. Calling them blockbusters made sense. Just as the original bombs overwhelmed entire neighborhoods, these movies overwhelmed the box office. The term captured both financial success and cultural impact. A blockbuster film wasn't just popular, it was dominant. The word became firmly cemented in the 1970s with the release of films like Jaws and Star Wars. These movies redefined what success looked like in Hollywood. They were marketed aggressively, released widely, and embraced by massive audiences. From that point on, blockbuster became inseparable from big movies. The idea of the summer blockbuster soon followed. Studios discovered that releasing major films during summer months maximized attendance, especially among younger audiences. Big budgets, special effects, and crowd-pleasing stories became standard features of blockbuster films. Over time, the word came to describe not just success, but a specific type of movie. A blockbuster was expected to be loud, visually impressive, and universally appealing. It was designed to dominate conversations and generate massive revenue. The term evolved into a business model, shaping how films were made and marketed. This shift changed Hollywood's priorities. fewer films were produced, but those that were made often carried enormous budgets and expectations. The blockbuster became the centerpiece of the industry. Eventually, blockbuster moved beyond movies. The term began appearing in discussions of books, music, video games, and even scientific discoveries. A best-selling novel could be called a blockbuster. A revolutionary product launch might earn the same label. In each case, the meaning stayed consistent. A blockbuster was something that stood out, disrupted norms, and captured widespread attention. Its destructive origins were mostly forgotten. But the sense of overwhelming impact remained embedded in the word. Even businesses adopted the term as branding, reinforcing its association with size and dominance. By then, blockbuster had fully transformed into a symbol of success on a massive scale. Even though its origins are rarely mentioned, blockbuster still carries the essence of its original meaning. It has always described something overwhelming in scale. Today, the impact is symbolic rather than physical. Instead of destroying city blocks, blockbusters dominate headlines, break records, and reshape industries. In modern entertainment, the term implies more than success. It suggests cultural dominance. A blockbuster film or book doesn't just perform well, it takes over conversations, fuels trends, and often builds entire franchises. The word conveys magnitude and force in a way that simpler labels never could. From wartime weapon to worldwide phenomenon, blockbuster has evolved without losing its sense of power. That enduring intensity is exactly why the name still fits. The word blockbuster has traveled a remarkable path. It began as a literal description of wartime devastation and evolved into a metaphor for cultural and commercial success. Though its violent origins are rarely remembered, the intensity of the term still echoes through its modern use. Today, calling something a blockbuster means it has made an undeniable mark. It signals scale, power, and influence. The word's history reminds us that language is never static. It absorbs the weight of the past while adapting to the needs of the present, turning even the darkest origins into expressions of creativity and impact. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.